Dust swirled around the crystal mines as Lily Chen climbed over the massive extraction equipment. Her small hands gripped the metal bars while she searched for the perfect hiding spot. Behind her, a low growling sound echoed through the machinery. RZER was getting impatient. "I know you're there," she called out in a sing-song voice. "You can't hide from me forever." The honey badger emerged from behind a power converter, his thick black and white fur covered in mining dust. His enhanced muscles rippled under his coat as he padded toward her. The genetic modifications made him larger than his Earth cousins, but he still moved with the same fearless confidence that made his species famous. Lily dropped down from the equipment and scratched behind his ears. "Good boy, RZER. You almost had me that time." The mining colony of New Haven stretched out before them, a collection of prefab buildings and industrial equipment scattered across the red landscape. The planet's twin suns cast long shadows across the settlement, creating a patchwork of light and darkness between the structures. In the distance, the main processing facility hummed with activity as the day shift worked to extract the precious crystals that made this remote world valuable. David. Chen watched his daughter from the observation deck of the administration building. His weathered face showed the stress of managing mining operations on the edge of human space, but his eyes softened when he saw Lily playing with her unusual pet. The honey badger had been a gift from his mother on Earth, specially modified to survive in the harsh conditions of frontier worlds. "She's fearless, just like that animal," said Administrator Ross, joining David at the window. The older man's gray hair was perfectly styled despite the dusty environment. "Sometimes I wonder if that's a good thing out here." David nodded. "My mother always said honey badgers don't know the meaning of fear." Looks like Lily inherited that trait. Below them, Lily had started a new game. She ran between the crystal storage containers while RZER chased after her. The honey badger's enhanced reflexes allowed him to keep up easily, but he seemed content to let her stay just ahead. Other colonists stopped their work to watch the pair, smiling at the sight of childhood innocence in their harsh world. The settlement housed 300 people, mostly miners and their families. They had come to this distant planet to extract the rare crystals needed for terraforming operations. The work was dangerous and the isolation complete, but the pay was good enough to make it worthwhile. For many families, it represented a chance to build a better future on the growing frontier worlds. Lily's laughter echoed across the compound as she ducked behind a transport rover. RZER circled around the vehicle, trying to anticipate where she would emerge. His enhanced intelligence made him an excellent playmate, capable of understanding complex games and even learning new rules. The modifications had increased his lifespan too, ensuring he would grow up alongside Lily. "Time for lunch," David called down from the observation deck. Lily looked up and waved. "5 more minutes, Dad. We're in the middle of something important." "Everything's important when you're 8 years old," Ross observed with a chuckle. The mining facility operated around the clock, with 3 shifts keeping the extraction equipment running continuously. The crystals they pulled from the ground would eventually power the massive terraforming stations that turned dead worlds into garden planets. It was slow work, but essential for humanity's expansion into the galaxy. David checked his wrist communicator. The monthly supply ship should arrive next week. "Lily's been asking for new books." "Smart kid," Ross said. "She's going to need that intelligence out here. The frontier doesn't forgive mistakes." As if summoned by their conversation, Lily appeared at the base of the observation deck with RZER at her side. The honey badger's tongue hung out slightly, the only sign that their game had tired him. His enhanced endurance was impressive, but even he had limits. "Can we visit the crystal caves today?" Lily asked, looking up at her father with hopeful eyes. David shook his head. "Too dangerous. The mining charges are scheduled for this afternoon." Lily's face fell, but she didn't argue. Life on the frontier had taught her to respect the dangers that surrounded them. The crystal caves were beautiful, filled with naturally occurring formations that glowed with their own inner light, but they were also unstable, requiring careful engineering to extract the valuable minerals safely. "Tomorrow, maybe," David added, softening his refusal, "if the structural surveys come back clean." RZER nudged against Lily's leg, sensing her disappointment. She knelt down and hugged him around the neck, burying her face in his thick fur. The honey badger stood perfectly still, his enhanced empathy allowing him to provide comfort when needed. The afternoon shift change brought new activity to the settlement. Workers emerged from the mines covered in crystal dust, their faces tired but satisfied with another successful extraction. The processed crystals would be loaded onto transport ships and sent to the inner colonies, where they would power the great machines that transformed worlds. Lily and Razor made their way to the settlement's small school building, where she would spend the afternoon learning alongside the other children. The frontier demanded educated colonists, and even the youngest residents received comprehensive instruction in science, engineering, and survival skills. "See you at dinner," David called after them. Lily waved without looking back, already focused on whatever lesson awaited her. Razor trotted alongside her, his enhanced loyalty ensuring he would never leave her side. The genetic modifications had strengthened all of his natural instincts, making him the perfect companion for a child growing up on the dangerous frontier. The twin suns began their descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Night came quickly on this world, and with it came new dangers. But for now, the settlement was peaceful and secure, protected by automated defense systems and the vast emptiness of space. In a few hours, Lily would be tucked safely in her bed with Razor curled up on the floor beside her. David would finish his reports and join them for their nightly reading session. Administrator Ross would complete his rounds and settle in for another quiet evening on the frontier. None of them knew that 5 Predator ships had just entered the system's outer edge, their sensors already locked onto the rich crystal deposits below. The peaceful routine of New Haven was about to be shattered, and Lily's childhood games would soon become a matter of life and death. Space rippled like water as 5 sleek ships tore through the fabric of hyperspace. Their hulls gleamed with a dark metallic finish that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each vessel bore the scars of countless raids, their weapon systems already charging as they dropped into normal space near the mining planet. Captain Threck stood in the command center of the lead ship, his scaled hands gripping the tactical display. His reptilian features showed satisfaction as the sensor readings confirmed what their intelligence had promised. The human settlement below was rich with the crystals his clan needed for their next major operation. 500 humans, reported his second-in-command, a tall creature with multiple arms that moved independently across the control panels. Minimal defenses. Standard mining equipment only. "Perfect," Threck hissed, his forked tongue tasting the recycled air. The Voidstalkers haven't had such an easy target in months. The other 4 ships spread out in attack formation, each commanded by a different species united only by their hunger for plunder. The Voidstalkers recruited from the galaxy's most aggressive predator races, turning their natural hunting instincts into a profitable raiding operation. Commander Grix piloted the second ship, his insectoid features clicking with anticipation. His species had evolved from hive hunters, and the thought of cornering helpless prey sent pleasurable chemicals through his system. Commander Voss controlled the third vessel, her feline grace evident even in the cramped confines of the bridge. The fourth ship belonged to Commander Krell, whose bear-like frame barely fit in his command chair. The final vessel was the newest addition to their fleet, captured from a failed human patrol just months earlier. Commander Drex had modified it extensively, adding weapons that violated several galactic treaties. His wolfish grin showed teeth filed to sharp points as he prepared for the hunt. "Begin deep scans," Threck ordered. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with down there." The scanning beams penetrated the planet's atmosphere, mapping the settlement in precise detail. The readings showed standard human construction, nothing that would pose a threat to their superior technology. The defensive systems were basic, designed more for keeping local wildlife away than repelling organized attacks. "Interesting," muttered Commander Grix, studying his displays. "They have children in the settlement." Threck's eyes gleamed. Human children made excellent hostages, and their emotional parents would surrender valuable information to protect their offspring. The Voidstalkers had perfected the art of psychological warfare, using family bonds against their enemies. "Mark their locations," he commanded. "We'll take several as insurance." The tactical display highlighted the school building and residential areas. Among the heat signatures, one particular reading caught Commander Voss's attention. Her enhanced feline vision detected something unusual in the sensor data. "Captain, there's an anomaly in Sector 7. Small heat signature, but the bio readings are strange. Enhanced metabolism, modified genetics." Threck examined the reading with interest. "Earth animal, probably." Humans are known for bringing their pets to frontier settlements. Nothing to worry about. The 5 ships maintained their distance while completing their reconnaissance. The humans below went about their daily routines, completely unaware of the predators watching from above. The mining operations continued normally, extracting wealth that would soon belong to the void. Stalkers. Communications jamming in position, reported Commander. Drex, they won't be calling for help. Defense. Satellite neutralized, added Commander Krell, his deep voice rumbling through the comm system. Threck studied the final attack plan on his display. The settlement's layout was simple, with clear lines of approach and limited escape routes. His ground team would secure the valuable targets while the ships provided orbital support. Remember, we want the mining engineers alive, he reminded his commanders. They know the location of the richest deposits. The children are leverage, nothing more. The sensor operator, a nervous creature from a prey species that had joined the clan for protection, highlighted several targets of interest. The administration building appears to be the command center. The main processing facility contains the refined crystals, and the residential areas house our hostages, Threck added with satisfaction. Commander Voss had returned her attention to the unusual bio reading. Something about it bothered her predatory instincts, though she couldn't identify why. Her species had learned to trust such feelings during millions of years of evolution. Captain, perhaps we should investigate this enhanced animal signature more carefully. Threck waved a scaled hand dismissively. We're raiding a mining colony, not a zoo. Focus on the real threats. The 5 ships began their final approach, descending through the planet's atmosphere under full stealth. Their advanced technology rendered them invisible to the settlement's basic sensors, allowing them to position themselves for maximum tactical advantage. Below them, Lily Chen was finishing her afternoon lessons, while Razor waited patiently outside the school building. The honey badger's enhanced senses detected something wrong in the air, a subtle change in the electromagnetic spectrum that his modified nervous system could perceive. He raised his head and sniffed carefully, his enhanced intelligence processing information that would have been meaningless to his natural cousins. Transport teams, prepare for insertion, Threck commanded. Remember, quick and clean. We're in and out before any patrol ships arrive. The Void Stalkers had perfected this type of raid over years of practice. Small settlements like New Haven were ideal targets, isolated enough that help couldn't arrive quickly, but wealthy enough to make the risk worthwhile. The humans would surrender without a fight once they realized the hopelessness of their situation. Beam down in 30 seconds, announced the transport operator. Threck checked his weapon one final time, a plasma rifle designed to stun rather than kill. Dead hostages were worthless, but terrified ones would provide all the cooperation he needed. His scales rippled with anticipation as he prepared to claim another victory for the Void Stalkers. The transport beam engaged, pulling Threck and his strike team through space toward the unsuspecting settlement below. In moments, the peaceful mining colony would become a battlefield, and the predators would discover that their prey was far more dangerous than they had imagined. High above, the 4 remaining ships maintained their positions, ready to provide support or prevent escape. Commander Voss continued to monitor the strange bio-reading, her instincts still warning her of danger. The enhanced animal signature had moved toward the outer edge of the settlement, positioning itself between the residential areas and the approaching threat. All teams report ready, came the confirmation from the surface. Begin the hunt, Threck ordered. The first sign of trouble came when the communication system died. David Chen was reviewing production reports when his console went dark, followed by every screen in the administration building. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting red shadows across the suddenly quiet facility. Power failure? Asked Administrator Ross, looking up from his own dead terminal. David shook his head, checking the backup systems. No, this is different. All external communications are down, but internal power is stable. Before either man could investigate further, the stunner blast hit them. The energy weapon sent both humans crashing to the floor, their bodies twitching as electrical current overwhelmed their nervous systems. Threck stepped through the doorway, his plasma rifle still smoking from the discharge. Too easy, he muttered, gesturing for his team to secure the unconscious humans. Across the settlement, similar scenes played out as the Void Stalkers moved through the buildings with practiced efficiency. Workers collapsed at their posts, families were separated and restrained, and within minutes the peaceful colony had become a prison camp. Lily was in the crystal processing facility when the attack began. She had convinced the afternoon supervisor to let her watch the refinement process, fascinated by the way raw ore transformed into glowing energy crystals. Razor lay beside her, his enhanced senses on high alert despite the seemingly safe environment. The honey badger's modified hearing picked up the high-pitched whine of charging energy weapons before any human could detect them. He rose to his feet, a low growl building in his throat as his enhanced instincts recognized the threat pattern. "What's wrong, boy?" Lily asked, noticing his agitation. Her answer came in the form of her father's voice crackling through the facility's internal communication system. David had managed to trigger an emergency alert before being captured, his strained words barely audible through the static. "Lily, hide. Armed raiders in the settlement. Find somewhere safe and don't come out until help arrives." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Lily alone with Razor in the vast processing facility. The building's thick walls and maze-like interior had protected them from the initial assault, but she could hear the sound of boots moving through the corridors outside. "This way," she whispered, leading Razor deeper into the facility. The processing plant was a labyrinth of pipes, conveyor belts, and storage chambers. Lily knew every corner from her many unauthorized explorations, and she used that knowledge now to guide them toward the deepest part of the complex. Behind them, the sound of searching grew louder. Commander Grix led the team assigned to secure the processing facility. His insectoid senses were well suited to tracking prey through confined spaces, and the thermal scanners built into his helmet showed him exactly where the remaining humans were hiding. 2 heat signatures in the lower levels, he reported to his team. Small ones. Probably children. His mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Children were always the easiest targets, too frightened to think clearly, and too small to pose any real threat. This would be over quickly. Lily pulled Razor into a storage chamber filled with raw crystal ore. The natural formations provided good cover, and the chamber's location deep in the facility might buy them time. She could hear the raiders getting closer, their alien voices echoing through the corridors. "Stay quiet," she whispered to Razor, though she knew the honey badger understood far more than most people realized. Razor's enhanced intelligence was processing the tactical situation with surprising sophistication. His modified brain had been designed to understand complex scenarios, and he recognized that they were being hunted by a superior force. But his genetic programming included something the raiders hadn't accounted for. Honey badgers had never learned to back down from a fight, regardless of the odds. Commander Grix reached the storage level and began methodically checking each chamber. His thermal vision made hiding impossible, and he approached each door with the confidence of a predator who had never met effective resistance from human children. "Come out, little ones," he called in accented human speech. "We won't hurt you if you cooperate." Lily pressed herself against the wall, holding Razor close. The honey badger's muscles were tense under her hands, and she could feel the barely contained aggression radiating from his enhanced form. Something in his posture reminded her of the nature documentaries she had watched, showing his wild cousins facing down lions and hyenas without fear. The storage chamber door slid open, and Commander Grix stepped inside with his stunner raised. His compound eyes quickly located the 2 heat signatures cowering behind a crystal formation. The child appeared to be about 8 years old, clutching what looked like an oversized earth animal. "There you are," he said, advancing with his weapon ready. "Don't make this difficult." Lily stood up slowly, keeping Razor behind her. "Please don't hurt my dad. He's just a mining engineer." Commander Grix clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his species. "Your father will be fine as long as everyone cooperates. Now step away from the animal and come with me." "No," Lily said quietly. The refusal caught the alien raider off guard. Human children usually surrendered immediately when faced with superior force. His finger tightened on the stunner's trigger as he prepared to end this minor rebellion. That was when Razor moved. The honey badger exploded from behind the crystal, formation with speed that his enhanced muscles made possible. His modified reflexes carried him across the chamber in a blur of black and white fur, and his strengthened jaws clamped down on Commander Grix's weapon arm before the alien could react. The stunner clattered to the floor as the insectoid raider screamed in pain and surprise. Razor's enhanced bite force, designed to crack the shells of space-adapted insects, easily pierced the commander's natural chitin armor. His modified aggression programming took over, turning him into a furry missile of destruction. Commander Grix tried to shake off the attacking animal, but Razor's enhanced tenacity made that impossible. The honey badger's genetic modifications had amplified every trait that made his species legendary on Earth. He was stronger, faster, and more determined than any natural animal had a right to be. Backup! Commander Grix managed to shout into his communicator. Need backup in storage level 7. Lily watched in amazement as her pet systematically destroyed the alien raider. Razor's enhanced intelligence allowed him to target the most vulnerable points on his enemy's anatomy, while his modified aggression ensured he wouldn't stop until the threat was eliminated. The sound of approaching footsteps told her that more raiders were coming. She grabbed Commander Grix's dropped stunner and checked its charge level, remembering the weapons training that all Frontier children received. The processing facility's control systems were nearby, and she had an idea that might even the odds. "Come on, Razor," she called softly. "We're not done yet." The honey badger released his defeated opponent and padded over to her side, his enhanced loyalty programming ensuring he would follow wherever she led. Blood stained his fur, but his eyes held the same fearless confidence that had made his species famous throughout the galaxy. Together, they moved deeper into the facility as the sound of pursuing raiders grew louder behind them. The hunt was just beginning, but the predators were about to discover that they had chosen the wrong prey. The processing facility became a hunting ground, but the roles had reversed in ways the Void Stalkers never expected. 3 more raiders entered the lower levels, their weapons ready and their confidence high. They had heard Commander Grix's call for backup, but assumed he was simply dealing with a frightened child who needed additional persuasion. Lily crouched behind a control panel, watching their approach through the facility's internal monitoring system. Her small fingers moved across the controls with surprising skill, activating systems that the adult workers rarely used. Growing up in the facility had taught her every switch and lever, knowledge that was about to become deadly. "There," she whispered, pointing to a junction where 3 corridors met. "When they reach that spot, I'll trigger the steam vents." Razor understood. His enhanced intelligence processed the tactical situation and recognized the ambush potential. He positioned himself in the shadows, his modified hunting instincts calculating angles and timing with predatory precision. The first raider was another insectoid, similar to Commander Grix but larger and more heavily armed. Behind him came a reptilian creature whose scales gleamed with moisture, and a third alien whose multiple eyes moved independently as they searched for threats. "Commander Grix, report your status," the lead raider called into his communicator. No response came from the storage chambers below, where their commander lay unconscious and bleeding. The 3 raiders exchanged glances, their predatory instincts finally beginning to warn them that something was wrong. "Spread out," the reptilian ordered. "Check every chamber." That was when Lily triggered the steam release. Superheated vapor erupted from hidden vents throughout the junction, filling the air with scalding mist that burned exposed skin and clouded vision. The raiders stumbled backward, their thermal sensors useless in the sudden heat bloom. Razor struck while they were blinded. His enhanced speed carried him through the steam like a furry missile, and his modified claws found the reptilian's throat before the alien could raise his weapon. The honey badger's genetic programming had been designed around one simple concept: never give up, never back down, never show mercy to threats. The dying reptilian's scream echoed through the facility, alerting the other 2 raiders to the danger they faced. But their thermal vision was still disrupted, and the steam continued to pour from the vents in thick clouds that hid their attacker. "What is that thing?" the multi-eyed alien shrieked, firing his stunner blindly into the mist. His shots went wide, striking walls and equipment but missing the honey badger entirely. Razor had already moved, his enhanced agility allowing him to navigate the facility's obstacles with ease. His modified nervous system processed the environment faster than any natural animal could manage, turning the maze of pipes and machinery into a 3-dimensional battlefield where he held every advantage. The lead insectoid tried to coordinate a defense, but his team was panicking. They had expected to face frightened humans, not a genetically enhanced predator that seemed to anticipate their every move. His mandibles clicked frantically as he called for additional support. "All teams converge on the processing facility. We have a hostile creature loose in the lower levels." Lily heard the transmission through the facility's communication system and realized she was running out of time. More raiders would arrive soon, and even DXZER couldn't fight an entire army. She needed to change the tactical situation before they were overwhelmed. Her fingers found the controls for the crystal processing laser, a powerful tool designed to cut raw ore into manageable pieces. The safety protocols tried to prevent activation without proper authorization, but Lily had watched the engineers override them many times during maintenance procedures. The laser charged with a deep humming sound that vibrated through the facility's structure. In the steam-filled junction below, DXZER was systematically eliminating the remaining raiders. The multi-eyed alien had fallen to his enhanced claws, while the lead insectoid was desperately trying to retreat toward the exit. "No escape," Lily said quietly, activating the laser targeting system. The beam sliced through the facility's upper wall like it was made of paper, sealing the exit corridor behind a wall of molten metal. The insectoid raider found himself trapped in the lower levels with a creature that showed no fear and accepted no surrender. DXZER's enhanced metabolism was providing him with seemingly unlimited energy for the fight. His modified cardiovascular system pumped oxygenated blood through his muscles at an accelerated rate, while his strengthened bones absorbed impacts that would have crippled a natural animal. The genetic engineers had created the perfect companion for frontier life, but they had also created the perfect predator. The last raider died with his mandibles still clicking in terror, his stunner useless against an enemy that refused to fall. DXZER stood over the corpse, his enhanced aggression slowly fading as the immediate threat was eliminated. Blood matted his thick fur, but none of it was his own. "Good boy," Lily called down from the control room. "But we're not finished yet." Through the facility's external cameras, she could see more raiders approaching the building. The teams from other parts of the settlement were converging on their position, drawn by the emergency calls from their fallen comrades. She counted at least a dozen aliens, all heavily armed and alert for danger. But Lily had advantages they didn't know about. Her small size allowed her to access maintenance areas that adult humans couldn't reach, and her knowledge of the facility's systems was complete. Most importantly, she had DXZER, whose enhanced loyalty ensured he would fight to protect her regardless of the odds. "Time to show them what Earth animals can do," she said, activating the facility's automated systems. Conveyor belts began moving throughout the building, carrying loads of sharp crystal ore toward the processing stations. Mechanical arms swung into motion, designed to handle heavy materials but equally capable of crushing flesh and bone. The entire facility transformed from a peaceful industrial site into a mechanical killing ground. The approaching raiders hesitated at the entrance, their enhanced senses detecting the danger within. But their captain's orders were clear, and the Void Stalkers had never retreated from human prey before. They advanced into the facility, weapons ready and formation tight. They had no idea that they were walking into a trap designed by an 8-year-old girl and her genetically enhanced honey badger. The peaceful mining colony was about to teach the galaxy's most feared predators a lesson they would never forget. DXZER moved through the facility's lower levels like a ghost, his enhanced senses tracking the intruder's movements through vibrations in the floor and changes in air pressure. His modified intelligence had learned the building's layout during years of exploration with Lily, and now that knowledge became tactical advantage. The hunt was far from over, but the hunters had become the hunted, and in the depths of the crystal processing facility, Earth's most fearless predator was just getting started. High above the planet's surface, Captain Threk paced the bridge of his flagship with growing irritation. The simple raid on a mining colony was taking far longer than expected, and his ground teams had stopped reporting in regular intervals. Something was wrong down there, though he couldn't imagine what threat a handful of human civilians could possibly pose. "Status report from the surface," he demanded. The communications officer, a nervous creature whose species had evolved from scavengers, hunched over his console. "Intermittent contact only, Captain. Several teams have gone silent, including Commander Grix's unit." "Impossible," Threk hissed. "They're raiding miners, not soldiers." Lily Chen had reached the facility's main control center, a room normally restricted to senior engineers but accessible through maintenance shafts that her small frame could navigate easily. The massive displays showed her everything she needed to know about the settlement's current situation. Most of the colonists had been captured, but the raiders were paying a heavy price for their victory. DXZER appeared beside her, blood still matting his fur from his encounters in the lower levels. His enhanced metabolism had already begun healing the minor cuts he had sustained, while his modified nervous system remained alert for new threats. The honey badger's fearless nature made him an ideal partner for what Lily planned to do next. "Look at this. Boy," she said, pointing to the orbital tracking display. 5 ships hung in space above them, their positions clearly marked on the screen. The mining facility's asteroid tracking system was designed to monitor incoming rocks that might threaten the settlement, but it worked equally well for identifying hostile spacecraft. Lily's fingers moved across the control panel with practiced ease. Growing up around mining equipment had taught her to operate systems that most adults found complex. The facility's main laser array was primarily used for cutting asteroids into manageable pieces, but its designers had built it with impressive power. "Reserves. Time to turn the tables," she whispered. The targeting system came online with a deep thrumming sound that vibrated through the facility's structure. In space, the mining laser array began tracking the nearest Voidstalker ship, its focusing mirrors adjusting to compensate for atmospheric interference. Commander Voss felt her feline instincts scream danger a split second before the laser struck her vessel. The beam designed to cut through solid rock tore through her ship's hull like tissue paper, vaporizing armor plating and cutting deep into the internal structure. Explosive decompression followed and her ship began tumbling out of control. "We're under attack," she managed to transmit before her communication system failed. Captain Threk watched in disbelief as one of his most experienced commanders lost control of her vessel. The readings made no sense. How could a mining colony possess weapons capable of threatening starships? "Return fire," he ordered. "Target is too small, Captain," his weapons officer reported. "The beam is originating from a single building in the settlement." Down in the control center, Lily was already adjusting her aim toward the second ship. The targeting computer helpfully calculated firing solutions, treating the Voidstalker vessels like especially large asteroids that needed to be broken up. She triggered the laser again, watching with satisfaction as another enemy ship began venting atmosphere. Commander Drex tried to maneuver his captured human vessel out of the laser's range, but the mining array could track targets across a wide arc. The beam caught his ship's engine section, and the resulting explosion sent debris spinning through space. 3 ships down, Lily announced to Razor, as if she were keeping score in one of their games. The honey badger's enhanced intelligence understood the tactical significance of what she was accomplishing. His modified loyalty programming filled him with fierce pride in his human companion, while his genetic fearlessness made him eager to continue the fight. On the surface, the remaining raider teams had finally reached the processing facility's main levels. They advanced cautiously now, their confidence shaken by the reports of casualties from below. The facility's automated systems had turned the building into a mechanical maze where conveyors could crush and crystal-cutting tools could slice. The lead raider was a massive bear-like creature whose natural armor had protected him from most of the facility's automated defenses. Commander Krell had survived by using his smaller teammates as shields, a tactic that had cost him half his team but allowed him to reach the upper levels. "The target is in the control center," he growled into his communicator. "All remaining units converge on my position." Lily heard the transmission through the facility's internal communication system and realized her time was running out. The orbital laser array needed several minutes to recharge between shots, and she still had 2 enemy ships to destroy. She triggered the facility's final defensive measure, flooding the upper corridors with crystalline dust that would clog the raiders' breathing filters. Razor positioned himself at the control center's main entrance, his enhanced senses tracking the approaching enemies through vibrations in the floor. His modified aggression programming prepared him for a final stand, while his genetic fearlessness ensured he would hold the line regardless of the odds. "Just a little longer." "Boy," Lily said, her hands dancing across the targeting controls. The 4th ship tried to retreat to a safe distance, but the mining laser's range was designed to reach the system's asteroid belt. Commander Krell's vessel had barely begun its escape burn when the focused beam struck its fuel tanks. The explosion lit up the planet's night sky, visible even through the facility's windows. That left Captain Threk's flagship, which was now maneuvering desperately to avoid the same fate as its companions. Threk had abandoned all thoughts of completing the raid and was focused entirely on survival. His scaled hands gripped the command console as he watched his once proud fleet reduced to wreckage. All units retreat to the ship. He transmitted to his remaining ground forces. Emergency extraction in 5 minutes. But Commander Krell had reached the control center and RDXZER was waiting for him. The honey badger's enhanced muscles coiled as the massive alien smashed through the reinforced door. His bear-like claws extended and his roar echoing through the chamber. The two predators faced each other across the control room. One the product of millions of years of evolution, the other the result of genetic engineering and human ingenuity. But they shared one crucial trait. Neither knew how to back down from a fight. Commander Krell charged forward, confident that his size and natural weapons would overwhelm the small Earth animal. He had never encountered a honey badger before, and his species databases contained no information about their legendary reputation. RDXZER met the charge head-on, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge the alien's claws, while his strengthened jaws found vulnerable spots in the creature's natural armor. The two animals rolled across the control room floor, destroying equipment and shattering displays as they fought with primal fury. Lily continued working at the targeting controls, her concentration absolute despite the battle raging beside her. The final laser charge was almost ready, and Captain Threk's ship was still within range. She had one chance to complete the destruction of the raider fleet. The honey badger's enhanced tenacity began to tell as the fight continued. Commander Krell was larger and stronger, but RDXZER's genetic modifications had given him unlimited endurance and an inability to feel fear. Slowly but steadily, he wore down his opponent with precise attacks on vital points. Target locked, Lily announced, pressing the firing control. The mining laser's final blast caught Captain Threk's flagship amidships, cutting through the command section and leaving the ship a powerless hulk drifting in space. The Voidstalker's reign of terror was over, ended by a child and her pet. Silence fell over the control center as Commander Krell's massive form stopped moving. RDXZER stood over the defeated alien, his enhanced metabolism already beginning to heal the scratches he had sustained during the fight. The honey badger's thick fur was matted with blood again, but his dark eyes remained alert for any remaining threats. Lily looked up from the targeting controls to see the final enemy ship, drifting powerless in space. 4 vessels had been completely destroyed, their debris creating new meteor showers as the fragments fell toward the planet's surface. Captain Threk's flagship was crippled but intact. Its hull breached in multiple places, but its life support systems still functioning. "We did it, RDXZER," she said quietly, kneeling beside her companion. The honey badger padded over to her, his enhanced loyalty programming ensuring he remained close despite his exhaustion. Together, they had defended their home against impossible odds, proving that Earth's children were never truly helpless. Captain Threk floated in the emergency command bubble of his ruined ship, watching the planet below with a mixture of fear and disbelief. His entire fleet had been destroyed by a mining colony. His carefully planned raid turned into a disaster by enemies he had never taken seriously. The scaled skin around his wounds had turned pale with shock. "Emergency transmission to any Voidstalker vessels," he managed to croak into his communicator. "This is Captain Threk. The human settlement is heavily defended. Do not attempt to engage." But his warning would come too late for the raiding party still trapped on the surface. The facility's automated defenses had eliminated most of his ground teams, while the survivors found themselves hunted through the corridors by something that their databases couldn't identify. David Chen regained consciousness in the administration building, his body still tingling from the effects of the stunner blast. The emergency lighting cast everything in shades of red, and the silence told him that something had changed dramatically since his capture. "Status report," he called out, checking his communicator. Lily's voice came through clearly, calm and steady despite everything she had endured. "Hi, Dad, the bad guys are gone." "Most of them, anyway." David struggled to his feet, unable to believe what he was hearing. "Lily, where are you?" "Are you safe?" "I'm in the main control center with RDXZER. We had to defend the settlement while you were unconscious. I hope that's okay." Administrator Ross was awake now too, staring at David with wide eyes. Neither man could process what they were hearing. An 8-year-old girl claiming to have defended the colony against armed raiders seemed impossible, but the evidence was all around them. The communication channels were full of reports from across the settlement. The automated mining equipment had malfunctioned, creating hazardous conditions throughout the facility. Bodies of unknown aliens had been found in multiple locations, all showing signs of violent death. And somehow, impossibly, The colony's mining laser array had been used to destroy 4 starships in orbit. "I'm coming to get you," David transmitted. "Already moving toward the door." "Okay, Dad, but be careful. There might still be some bad guys hiding in the lower levels." David and Administrator Ross made their way through the settlement, stepping over the stunned bodies of their fellow colonists and the more permanently disabled forms of alien raiders. The evidence of violence was everywhere, but it had been precise and targeted. The human casualties were unconscious but alive, while the alien invaders had been systematically eliminated. They reached the processing facility to find a scene of mechanical devastation. Conveyor belts had been reprogrammed to create crushing hazards, while crystal-cutting tools had been repositioned to slice through anything that moved past them. The entire building had been turned into a death trap with surgical precision. How could she know how to do this? Ross asked in amazement. David thought about all the times he had found Lily exploring the facility, her endless questions about how everything worked, her fascination with the complex systems that kept the colony running. He had always known she was intelligent, but he had never imagined she could apply that intelligence so effectively under pressure. They found her in the main control center, sitting calmly at the targeting console with Razor curled up beside her chair. The honey badger's fur was stained with blood, but he appeared alert and healthy. Around them, broken displays and damaged equipment told the story of the final battle. "The laser array is offline now," Lily reported as they entered. "I used up all the power reserves destroying the ships." David knelt beside his daughter, checking her for injuries while struggling to understand what had happened. She seemed completely unharmed, though her clothes were dirty and her hair was messed up from crawling through maintenance shafts. "Lily, what did you do?" She looked up at him with the same innocent expression she wore when explaining why she had been exploring somewhere she wasn't supposed to be. "The bad guys wanted to hurt our family, so Razor and I stopped them. Honey badgers don't give up, and neither do humans." Razor raised his head at the mention of his name, his enhanced intelligence understanding the conversation, even if he couldn't participate directly. The genetic modifications had made him more than just a pet. He was a true partner, capable of independent thought and tactical decision-making. The sound of approaching ships drew their attention to the external displays. 3 vessels were descending through the atmosphere, but these bore the markings of the human colonial defense force. Someone had detected the energy signatures from the space battle and sent a patrol to investigate, rescue. "Ships?" David said with relief. "Actually, I think we're the ones who did the rescuing." Lily corrected him gently. The Defense Force landing team found a scene unlike anything in their training manuals. A peaceful mining colony had somehow repelled a major raid by the notorious Void Stalkers, leaving 4 enemy ships destroyed and their ground forces eliminated. The evidence pointed to a sophisticated defense operation, but the only defenders were a mining engineer's daughter and her pet honey badger, Captain Martinez of the Colonial. Defense Force interviewed the survivors while her technical team examined the weapon systems that had been used so effectively. The mining laser array showed signs of expert operation, with targeting solutions that would have impressed a trained naval gunner. "Miss Chen," she said formally, addressing Lily with the respect due a fellow warrior. "Can you explain how you managed to coordinate such an effective defense?" Lily thought about the question seriously before answering. "Razor and I know every part of this facility. When the bad guys came, we just used what we had available. Dad always says that humans are good at solving problems." The honey badger stretched and yawned, showing no interest in the military personnel who were documenting the battle site. His enhanced metabolism had already repaired the minor damage he had sustained, and his genetic programming was satisfied that the threat to his human family had been eliminated. Captain Martinez examined the body of Commander Krell, noting the precise wounds that had brought down the massive alien warrior. "And your pet did this?" "Honey badgers are very brave," Lily explained. "They don't back down from anything, no matter how big it is. The genetic modifications just made Razor better at being what he already was." Word of the incident spread quickly through human space, becoming the stuff of legend among frontier families and military personnel alike. The story of how a little girl and her honey badger had destroyed an entire raider fleet inspired confidence in human settlements. Throughout the galaxy, Captain Threk was eventually rescued from his crippled ship and taken into custody by the Colonial Defense Force. During his interrogation, he spoke repeatedly about the impossible defenders who had turned his certain victory into devastating defeat. His description of the events was so unbelievable that investigators initially thought he was suffering from combat-induced psychosis. But the evidence was undeniable. The Void Stalkers had been defeated by the very prey they had considered helpless, and their reputation as unstoppable predators was shattered forever. Other raider clans took note, adding human frontier settlements to their list of targets to avoid at all costs. Lily Chen returned to her normal routine, attending school and playing with Razor in the crystal mines, but now she was also the youngest recipient of the Colonial Defense Medal, and her tactical innovations were being studied at military academies throughout human space. The settlement of New Haven became a symbol of human determination and ingenuity, proof that Earth's children could defend themselves against any threat. And in the depths of space, other potential predators learned to fear the combination of human intelligence and Earth's most fearless animals. Razor, for his part, seemed completely unimpressed by all the attention. He had simply done what honey badgers had always done, protected his family with absolute determination and unlimited courage. The fact that his family happened to be human, and his enemies happened to be alien, was irrelevant to his genetically enhanced instincts. Together, they had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers, but their unbreakable bond with the creatures of their homeworld and their refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds.